Hi, fourth grade parents. I'm Miss Crooks, and I'm here today with Miss Imperato to model how to do a read aloud with our kits that you're getting. I'm going to be reading The Rough Faced Girl. And the first piece of a read aloud is to organize your group. So you get together with your child and make sure that you both have the book in front of you and you're ready to read. The second piece is to explore the cover. So we're going to look at the cover. We're going to point out the title, The Rough-Faced Girl, and then have them look at the picture, take a little look, and then ask them a few questions. So what do you think this book will be about?
Maybe a Native American girl who gets lost in things.
Okay, so she's looking at the picture, and then after that, you may ask them, why do you think the girl is covering her face?
Maybe she's trying to hide from something.
Okay, so you might ask some questions based on the pictures on the front, and maybe some words that are found in the title. Okay, this book is going to be a fiction book. Do you know what fiction is?
Fiction. That means it's a story, right?
Okay, yes, so it's going to be a story, and this story happens to be a Native American story, which most Native American stories have been told from generation to generation and passed down. And they would be in the genre of fiction and folk tales. All right, so now the third step of a read aloud is to preview the book. And when you preview the book, you do a picture walk. So you don't read the words yet, you just do a picture walk. So we're going to take a picture walk from the front of the book all the way to the ends. And while you're doing so, you can ask them a few questions. There'll be questions to ask on your guide. Okay, so we're going to walk through the book. Okay, so what do you notice in this picture?
It looks like they live on the beach.
Oh, okay. Why do they live on a beach? You see sand, you see.
You see the sea, and these look like what Native Americans live in.
Oh, what do you know what those are called? What they live in?
Are they teepees?
Teepees. Yeah. Okay. So we see some homes of the Native Americans. It looks like they live by the ocean. Okay.
Oh, they decorated their teepee. Uh-oh, that looks scary. They look very proud.
So what do you think based on these pictures? Who are the group of people that we're reading about?
Maybe they're Native American tribe.
Okay, what makes you think based on these pictures that they're Native American?
How they dress and their teepees and their hair and their jewelry.
Okay, so their jewelry, their clothes, their homes. Okay.
Look like they're telling secrets now.
Okay. So we see where they live. Oh.
They look afraid of that thing.
Do you think based on this that we'll see some things that are scary? Do we think that this story is going to have a happy ending?
I hope so, but I don't think so.
Let's see.
She's wearing a crown. Maybe she's in charge now.
Oh, do you know anything about how Native Americans have, do they have kings and queens?
No, they have elders.
Elders and maybe who's in charge of a...
Oh, the chief.
Oh, there's chiefs. Okay. Does she look like she's a chief?
She has a crown, but no, not really.
Maybe she's a daughter of a chief, maybe? Maybe she thinks she is. Oh, that's beautiful.
That kind of looks like a happy ending.
Oh, yes. So what makes you think in this picture that there's a happy ending?
Rainbows.
Rainbows. Rainbows mean
and
peace and hope.
It kind of looks like the sky is smiling.
Oh, yeah, it looks like a face. Got birds with eyes and a mouth. So does that look like maybe the girl in the story is happy at the end?
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, maybe. I can't wait to read this book.
Excited. I like the sunset. She looks very in charge now.
This is like the book that we're reading about, The Wise of Weather.
Yes, what a great connection.
About the rainbow.
With a fierce cloud.
What does that look like?
Maybe he could be the chief, but he's in the sky, so it's a constellation.
Oh,
so
okay.
Maybe it's like one of their gods.
Oh, maybe.
It's an intense picture.
Oh.
She looks peaceful now. He's showering.
Okay, so we're getting closer. This is almost the end. So now we're kind of seeing, we've gone some scary pictures, we've seen some peaceful, and now we're seeing that maybe the main character, this girl, is happy. Oh.
And they're riding off.
And then they're riding off. Happy ending. Okay, so let's find out if there is a happy ending. Okay, so before we read, we did our picture walk, and now what you do is you activate prior knowledge, meaning what do you already know about this topic, or what you already know about some things that are written in the title. So some questions that you, what do you know about different Native American people?
Well, we're reading a story right now about Native American legends. So I know they tell their stories and they try to explain like how things happened.
So like in nature, how things happen in nature?
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's see, I know that sometimes Native Americans live in their tribes and have a lot of like rituals and traditions that they all follow.
Have you ever been to a Native American village?
No.
Okay. In what ways do Native American traditions respect nature? So how do they respect it versus talking about it? How do they actually show respect for nature?
I think they're really careful about like what they use and how they use the land and things.
Okay. All right. So then that gets them thinking about what the book will be about, and then while they're reading, they can make some connections. And then before you start reading, you might want to introduce some vocabulary. So step 5 has you talking about some vocabulary words. So in this book, we're going to see words such as swift. So swift means to go.
Swift as the coursing river.
So fast. So
no, Pocahontas. Milan.
Oh,
one of them.
Oh, Pocahontas. So swift is going very fast, feverishly.
I think that's also kind of like moving quickly, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
And fiery.
Like on fire?
Yeah.
Fiery, okay.
Okay. And vanished.
Disappeared.
Yes, good job. All right. So as you are explaining vocabulary, if they don't know, then you might tell them. If you don't know what the word means, you can always look it up and have another conversation about the meaning. And the last part, oh no, not the last part. Step 6 would be ask purposeful questions while you're reading. So as you're reading, you just don't go skimming through the whole entire book. Don't scan the book and don't hurry through the book. So every time you read a page, you might stop and ask a few questions. So I'm going to model just a few pages and how we would ask some questions while we're reading. All right. So the rough-faced girl. Once, long ago, there was a village by the shores of Lake Ontario. Okay, so you're right, they're along the shore. Okay, however, they're by a lake and not the ocean. Okay. So what would you say the setting of the story is?
The shore of Lake Ontario.
Oh, good job. All right. Off from the other wigwams of the village stood one great huge wigwam. Painted on its sides were pictures of the sun, moon, stars, plants, trees, and animals. And inside this wigwam, there was said to live a very great, rich, powerful, and supposedly handsome, invisible being. However, no one could see him except his sister, who lived there too. Based on this picture, what do you think a wigwam is?
Maybe it's another name for the teepee.
Oh, yes. So on this picture, all we see is a teepee. And it's saying that there was pictures on the side. Okay. Many women wanted to marry this invisible being, but his sister said, only the one who can see him can marry him. Oh. So who are some of the characters so far?
The invisible boy, or the invisible being, they call him, and his sister.
And his sister. Okay. Were there any other characters? Just the sister and the being?
So far, yeah.
Okay. Now, in this village, there lived a poor man who had 3 daughters. The 2 older daughters were cruel and hard-hearted, and they made their youngest sister sit by the fire and feed the flames. When the burning branches popped, the sparks fell on her. In time, her hands became burnt and scarred. Her arms, too, became rough and scarred. Even her face was marked by the fire, and her beautiful long black hair, hugged, ragged, and charred. And those two older sisters laughed at her, saying, "Ha, you're ugly, you rough-faced girl." And it made her life very lonely and miserable indeed. So, why why did the older daughters treat their younger sister so cruelly?
Uh, because she was all scarred and they thought she was ugly.
They thought she was ugly, okay? And maybe she was the younger sister. All right. So that's some ways to ask some purposeful questions while you're reading the pages. Also asking about questions. So looking at the picture. So if we look at the picture, how do we know in this picture that the sisters are treating her meanly?
They're standing above her and they kind of have like mean looks on their faces while she looks sad down by the fire.
So she looks sad and they look like they're treating her unkind. Okay, and then the last part would be after you finish reading the book, you would summarize the book. So just asking the students to tell you what the story was all about. So maybe who were the main character, what was the problem, what was the solution in the story, and then maybe ask what do you think the main message of the story is. So based on what we know so far, what do you think a message might be in the story?
I think they might learn to treat other people kindly.
Oh, well, let's hope so. So I look forward to all of you reading this book.
Thanks, fourth grade.